Tonight comes from local power and politics. Yonkers' extended term law is allowed to stand after the state's top court declined to hear the case. News 12's Jonathan Gordon is outside City Hall with what this means now in New York's third largest city. Jonathan, why did the court decide not to take up this case?
Well, a lower court unanimously decided that the term limit extension law was legal, and therefore the state's highest court, the Court of Appeals, was not obligated to take up this case. So it didn't. Instead, it let the lower court ruling stand.
Term limits have become a tense issue in the city of Yonkers, so much so that voters will find city councilman and mayoral candidate Anthony Morante's name on the Restore Term Limits line, in addition to the Republican one this November.
This vote belongs in the people's hands, not in the city council and the mayor's hands.
But when it comes to actually restoring term limits, that's a different story. On Monday, the state's highest court declined to hear the case brought by a group of nonpartisan residents, claiming the city council's vote to extend term limits from 3 to 4 late last year violated state law.
Voters will not be precluded from voting for their preferred candidates simply because the candidate may have already served 3 consecutive terms.
Morante has made term limits a central part of his campaign as his opponent, incumbent Mayor Mike Spano, tries to win his 4th term.
I've shown the people of the city of Yonkers that term limits is my issue.
Right now, an outside firm is reviewing Morante's petition to put a referendum question on this November's ballot, asking to roll term limits back to 2. The clerk's office should know if the petition survived a review with enough valid signatures this week, and if it does, the same council that voted less than a year ago to extend term limits would get to decide if the question to roll them back makes the ballot in November.
Beggars was here in Jersey, wondering what they care about me. Why would they care where I live, whether I'm moving or not, whether my wife is going to divorce me or not? Why does anyone care? Because someone just asked the Yonkers voice why. Anyway, have a blessed day.
Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. And you see what happened there, right? Happy Tuesday. Good evening. I'm Freddie Vasquez. The higher court saying they're not going to listen or hear the lawsuit that was brought on by 12 individuals. Yes, it was bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats, but they're letting the ruling stand. And so the mayor, as pretty much they knew would happen, is going to continue running for mayor of Yonkers this November. So, you know, for those who were hoping that that was going to be the outcome, I didn't think it would be, just based on the language. And I get it again, according to the general, municipal home rule law or something like that, home rule. The council members, elected officials, cannot vote on things that will directly impact them. So they let it stand because essentially the people can vote for someone else. They don't have to choose the mayor. So the fact that they extended the term limits did not give him a direct benefit. He still has to run. People still have to vote. And this is what I say. You guys have to come out to vote if you want to make a difference. So if you want to see someone else outside of Mike Spano, then people have to come out to vote. And those who are going to come out to vote and who are adamant about seeing someone other than Spano, you have to go out there and encourage other people to vote. You have to, be active in that way. You have to really get out there if that's what you want, because again, it's up to the people ultimately. It's up to the people. And speaking of the term limit extension meeting or extension, really, you saw the meeting scenes from the meeting there that was very chaotic. Everyone probably knows by now about the term limit meeting where Councilwoman Tasha Diaz of the 3rd District went crazy, started yelling at the people that were there, calling a group of Hispanic women beggars, saying that they would be in her office again, begging for more stuff, I guess, from her. I don't know what that was about, but she lost it. She went nuts. And that led to an incident outside of the chamber councils that involved Hector Santiago. Many people in the community know Hector. Hector the Connector Santiago, or the people's mayor, what he likes to go by. Someone who's been very active in the community for many years now. And he was very active with the police department, which is why I was very surprised when that happened. Hector Santiago, as you may know, was arrested the night of the term extension meeting. Tasha Diaz was screaming, calling people beggars, and Hector Santiago shouted back at her to shut up and vote. And that resulted in him being removed from the council chambers, where he got into an incident with a detective outside in the hallway. Hector Santiago was in an arm sling, and apparently he shoved the police detective. The police detective swung back, and he ended up going to jail that night. He spent the night in jail, and he would be charged with assault on a police officer, harassment, all kinds of stuff. Then charges were slowly dropped down to just harassment, and then he beat that recently. And so now that he's beat his charges after going to court, he says over 20-something times, he says it's the result, I should say, I'm sorry, it resulted in him losing his job because he had to take so many days off. Now he's going to sue the city. Now he's filing a civil lawsuit. But we saw this coming, right? Many people saw this coming. I think Hector Santiago spoke about it a little bit. He, let it be known that this is probably where it was going to end up in a civil court. So here he is. Now he's suing. Now that all the charges and everything is over with the legal stuff, he's going to take it to civil court, and he's going to go head-to-head with the city of Yonkers. Another lawsuit. How many lawsuits is this, Yonkers? I think it's got to be a record, right? City of Yonkers is sued more than Kanye West. Yonkers Civil Rights Commissioner Hector Santiago will sue his city over civil rights violations after being exonerated in criminal court resulting from a physical altercation at a city council meeting last November. Hector Santiago became known across the city in 2015 after the launch of his pro-police initiative called Stop and Shake. So this is strange. 2 years later, he walked from Yonkers to Albany to raise the issue of mental health awareness. Mayor Mike Spano then appointed him to the Yonkers Human Rights Commission. This year, Santiago secured the Working Families Party line in the race for the 3rd District on the city council. So he's going to be running in November on the Working Families Party against Tasha Diaz, the woman he told to shut up and just vote. That was the night of the term extension vote, where she voted yes. Right? The 2022 debate to extend the term limits for mayor became a spectacle in the already checkered past of Yonkers. During the city council meeting, which adopted this change, many residents and their elected representatives verbally sparred and exchanged insults. I don't know if I would say many residents, and I don't, but whatever. During this disorder, Hector Santiago was forcibly escorted from the chambers for allegedly shouting remarks at the majority leader, Tasha Diaz. While in an arm sling from recent surgery, numerous YPD officers grabbed Santiago, pulling him into the outer hallway. There, Santiago pushed back on one officer, Detective Russell excuse me if I say this wrong, Kilgory responded with a closed fist punch to Santiago's face, according to the Yonkers Ledger. The police then arrested Santiago, charging him with obstructing governmental administration in the 2nd degree and resisting arrest. Considering Santiago's notoriety and relationship in the area, the Westchester County DA and numerous judges recused themselves from this case. The charges against Santiago were ultimately dismissed and reduced to only the simple violation of disorderly conduct brought by the Orange County District Attorney. So the Orange County District Attorney got involved in this. After over 20 appearances in the White Plains City Court, Judge John P. Collins Jr. ruled that Hector Santiago was not guilty of that lone remaining charge. Even before Hector Santiago's criminal case reached its end, he filed a notice of claim with the city of Yonkers, signaling his intent to sue. Civil rights lawyer Leo Glickman will argue to a federal court that the city, Yonkers Police Department, and Detective Kilgore violated Santiago's constitutional rights. Among the violations will be malicious prosecution, excessive force, and right to a fair trial. Supporting these claims are the allegations that Kilgore falsified a police report and lied under oath in court. The civil suit will seek both compensatory and punitive damages resulting from Santiago's ordeal. However, Glickman is not proposing any specific monetary figures, allowing a jury to determine the just compensation. Beyond this action, Santiago and Glickman also seek criminal punishment for the detective. In a letter to DA Mimi Roca, Glickman criticizes the inaction of law enforcement authorities in the city and county. This inaction references to the lack of any investigation and prosecution of the assault on Santiago. Glickman contrasts this to Santiago's immediate arrest and prosecution. With Santiago's criminal case concluded, Glickman awaits the launch of any law enforcement investigation into Kilgore. Failing that, further calls may be made by like ones that resulted in the years-long federal oversight of the Yonkers Police Department due to similar complaints. Speaking with Santiago after his complete exoneration in court, he affirmed his support of the police, which is the cornerstone of his Stop and Shake program. There are a lot more good cops than bad ones, and it's just about holding the wrongdoers accountable. So there are more good cops than bad cops. But check this out. Detective Russ is considered a good cop. He's considered one of the good guys. A lot of people like Detective Kilgore. I'm gonna call you Russ. Detective, that's why I know him as Russ. I always say hello to him. When I see him, I always say hello to him before that. Always been a nice guy, but that's my experience. I'm not taking away from what Santiago's going through. A court and a jury will have to decide that. It's just very unusual what happened, right? Like, why did it go down like that? And why did not anyone hold responsible the council, right? The city council, Tasha Diaz, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy. I mean, they were very unprofessional that night. This was an important meeting, something that packed the house. Normally, you don't see people at these meetings like that, but people were so involved and engaged in this process, particularly that they packed the house, and yet they used that moment to talk about personal shit, right? Lakeisha Collins Bellamy was going on about how her husband was not going to become a cop. She was not going to become a judge. And these were from things that I have said on Basement Politics, saying that, she introduced that because she possibly wanted to become a judge later on, right? She's an attorney, right? And she would love to be a judge. She even said it as she was going on in this rant about how she's not going to become a judge, although that's her dream. And her husband is not going to become a Yonkers police officer. He is currently a correctional officer. She said he has a good job. He doesn't have a trivial job like someone who works at a supermarket or grocery store. So she also insulted people who work in grocery stores. Right? So they insulted people. Then Tasha Diaz picked off where she left, where Lakeisha left off. She picked up, I should say, where she left off and just went nuts. And she took it to another level, yelling at constituents, calling them beggars. Beggars. These are the city council members, the majority leader and the city council president, both women of color, screaming at mostly Hispanic and Black constituents who were in the chambers that day. And a Hispanic male ends up going to jail, and a Black detective is the one that's being looked at, as possibly doing something wrong, and now the one that needs to be investigated for assault on Santiago, now that Santiago's legal issues are over. So, folks, you see this? See what's going on here? These are supposed to be our leaders, women of color, our leaders, and instead they have caused more chaos specifically for people of color. The only people that lost that day were people of color. Women, Latina women, were insulted. They were called beggars. Women who do so much in the community, who volunteer their time, unlike Tasha Diaz, who used that food distribution drive just to get petition signatures and votes. She's not the one doing it. She's not out there handing out the food. Yet she won't saw constituents who are out there helping people in the community. Now, one of them said they were or apologized. Now, one of them took responsibility for creating that entire debacle. They started. The city council women started it. There should be some consequences for them. It was an unbelievable scene, and it's not the first time. Tasha Diaz has a history with going berserk in meetings. We can go back to the affordable housing meeting when she flip-flopped on the vote, completely surprising everybody, and killed the new increase to the affordable housing ordinance. A woman that herself lives in affordable housing, knowing that there's an affordable housing crisis, there's a need, voted no after saying she was supporting the 20% affordable housing ordinance that was introduced by Mike Cater. And then she went off, yelling that day, saying, let's get it popping. She started screaming at Shanae Williams. It was a mess. And yet, and still, she has never apologized. She has never taken responsibility for her actions. At a meeting, at a live meeting, she has yelled at constituents as well as her colleagues. She's yelled at tenants at a tenants association meeting, threatening them, calling them the B word. This is outrageous. This is crazy. Well, Hector Santiago is going up against Tasha Diaz in District 3. So if you want change, there you go. You have Hector Santiago to vote for. Hector Santiago is in the community. He knows a lot of people, a lot of people. So you guys have to make sure you go out to vote for the man. Tell your friends, tell your family members, just like they will be doing. See, Hector Santiago doesn't have the same machine that Tasha Diaz does. That's why she killed the affordable housing. She don't care about the blacks and Hispanics that need it, or the whites that need it, or anyone that needs affordable housing. She doesn't care. She cares about the rich developers that are going to be giving her money for her campaign so she can blast her district with her face, posters, mailers, so you guys can be fooled into voting for her again. I can guarantee you that Hector Santiago will make sure that there's food at these food distributions and that they will not stop. So if you're concerned with that, please don't let that be the reason why you continue to vote for someone who has disrespected the community. She disrespected the community. She disrespected the community many ways. Verbally, physically, because she's assaulted people. They keep that hush hush. And in the way that she votes, in the way that she is as a council person for her district. She totally goes against the people that are in her district. She doesn't vote for anything that benefits them. You would think that she was representing a district in Scarsdale, a district in Bronxville, not in Yonkers, not the 3rd district, not on the South Side. And the people in that area deserve more. The folks on South Broadway deserve more. And so it's time to vote. But you have to come out. We have to come out. The people in District 3 have to come out. You're going to get a lot of people like a Lorraine Lopez. And this is no disrespect to Lorraine. I'm not coming at you, Lorraine. But you know that you're going to be telling the people to vote for Tasha Diaz. And now why? She's never come out to apologize. She's never said, I'm sorry for calling people beggars. I was upset. I was wrong for that. Not once. Not once. Yet Lorraine Lopez and other Latino leaders and even black leaders in the community will tell you to vote for her. But remember, she voted no to increase the affordable housing. So that means that there's less affordable housing available to people who need it. So if you're struggling to find housing, if you've been applying, you've been rejected, if you are someone that went to Jefferson Terrace to try to get an apartment, right? And because Tasha Diaz has pull over there, right? Got people to skip you in the line because they paid her, right? Here's your opportunity to get her out of there, right? Here's your chance. but it's time for change in District 3. And Hector Santiago is for the people. And listen, I didn't always get along with Hector. Me and him had our issues, but I put things like that to the side. That has nothing to do with what's best for the people. So it's not about that I dislike Tasha. It's not personal. It's just that I've seen what she's done, and many people have seen what she's done, and many people know what she has not done. Again, the 4 women of color on the city council have let us down. As a person of color, they have let us down. I've expected more. And they've let us down. Think of one thing that they've done for us. What have they done for the people of color? How have they improved things for the people of color here in this city? Have they worked to produce more jobs for the people of color? Right? And I stress that because they play on that. Come election time, they play on that. They use the fact that they're black or Hispanic. They play on that. So if you're going to play on that, then we expect something for it. Right? So it's time that we start to think differently in how we vote and forget about the fact that they may look like us, because a lot of times those that look like us ain't for us, right? They have not apologized for what they've done. They have not done anything for the people in this community. People are getting pushed out. People are getting priced out. People are losing their apartments. People can't find apartments. People can't find jobs. People are having trouble affording summer camps. There's no activities for the kids. There's nothing. They have not done anything to improve the schools. Our council members, nothing. Our city council president, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy, is also an employee of Municipal Housing Authority. So she should have a real compassion and understanding for what people are going through who are in need of housing. Yet and still, how she votes is in the best interest of the developers, the ones that are bringing luxury developments, the ones that didn't want the affordable housing increased. That's why they did that. Right? So they're not doing this for anyone that's might look. Bougie Brews closed down. Bougie Brews, right? Why? Because after Bougie Brews opened up, they allowed a Starbucks to open up around the corner. What do you think was going to happen? That's a black-owned business. I hear it was a couple that owned it. Right. And I'm not trying to be negative to them or nothing. So I don't want that to, I'm just saying, you know, I don't like to see that, you know, but I knew something, you know, could go this way when I saw Starbucks opening up. So a lot of, you know, local small mom and pop owned businesses are shutting down, are being forced to shut down, especially on the Northwest side and the West side over there. That's represented by Black women. Shanae Williams, Tasha Diaz, Lakeisha Collins-Bellamy being the city council president, and Corazon Pineda Isaac. So, you know, we could blame Spano all day, but people that look like us, that promise to represent us, have not. And they could have done a lot to change the direction of the way this city is going. I'm still waiting to hear what was the result of that meeting the city council president had with AMS in regards to, you know, community benefits. Where are the community benefits? Where are the community benefits? The community is not benefiting. Pronounced Kilgore. Kilgore. Thank you. He'll be back in he will be back in Spano. Unbelievable. Poor Mimi. All these political investigations. I don't know how the woman gets anything done. Well, I don't know if how many is she actually investigating. He's got my vote. You're in District 3 from the council, Brian. There you go. Business owners are closing up shop downtown. Yeah, they are. Some, not all. It's even possible that Bougie Brew sold worse coffee than Oh, well, listen, I don't know. I don't know. You know, I don't drink a lot of coffee. I do have a cup in the morning that I make on my own here. You know, my wife actually, she'll make it in the morning, Bustelo. So I didn't frequent that. I don't do the Starbucks thing, you know. But I don't know. I don't know, you know, if the coffee was bad. I don't know. So if it was because of that or some other reason, that I don't know. But there are a lot of small businesses that are closing down, that are being forced closed because the movie studios want the space. people are having to sell their homes even because the movie studios need the space, or investors are coming in there. They're giving them these offers, and many are saying, all right, I'm out of here. The place is getting crazy crowded. And then these investors are renovating the places and jacking up the rents where people who are living in the area now cannot afford them. All right. So that's a problem. There's a problem. So, I just want to mention that. And now one stepped up for Hector Santiago. Nobody, you guys did the stop and shake with this guy. This was the stop and shake guy. Look at him in the background. Oh, excuse the mic, right? He's working with the police. Stop and Shake program, which is an initiative that encourages better police and community relationship, encourages the officers to stop and get to know the people of the community, which I think is important. I think it's a great initiative. He's also a commissioner on the Human Rights Commission. So what happened here? How did this happen? I don't get it. And I hear the detective, Russ, is a good guy. He's a great guy. That's what I hear from everybody. He always comes off that way. I don't want to say too much of his business, but, he surrounds himself with, at least in his personal life, with people that are good people. I don't know what happened there, and can we put some of the blame on Tasha Diaz? I mean, when somebody creates that type of environment, creates all that, that energy that she put out there, everybody was kind of, on high alert. Everybody was hyped up. And so let's put some blame on the council. They created that situation. That should have never went that way. You should have saved the personal stuffs for another day. You should have did a live if you felt that way, and did your live and said what you had to say on your live, but not on the people's time. The city council meeting is the people's time. Don't forget that, folks. That's our time. Chris Johnson, I spoke about Chris Johnson. In case you didn't know, he resigned. He submitted his resignation letter over the housing scandal. You see, there's a housing need, Chris. You can't hold up that apartment to rent it out. Just kidding. Political standards have long been flouted, alas tolerated among many local. I can't read this guy's stuff. He's too wordy. Public opinion exacts legal consequences for political entitlement gone awry. This guy and his words. Well, anyway, Chris Johnson submitted his resignation letter, so he's no longer going to be representing District 16. For the Board of Legislators. More than likely, Shanae Williams will now take his spot. She will be sworn in, I would imagine, to take over. And Deanna Robinson will be sworn in to take over Shanae Williams' place on the council. How do you like that? Hey, Deanna, how you feeling right now? I like Deanna Robinson. She's a cool person, right? In general, she's a cool person. She jokes with me about things that I say about her. I mess with her, right? She was missing for a while, right? She got mad. She threatened to sue me. She did. You were one of the people that threatened to sue me, Deanna. Remember that? You got mad about that Facebook post. But I think you learned that when you post stuff on social media, it's no longer yours. It's not yours. I'm just saying. She was upset about a picture I got from her IG page, but it's all love, Deanna. Congratulations to you. And you better do the right thing, girl. You better represent the people of color. All right. I'm going to be watching you. You know I'm going to say something. You know I will. Ken Jenkins, Working Families Party, Indivisibles, and Community Voices heard are just as guilty as Chris Johnson, according to this one person who commented. They protected him all while he was committing fraud. They are quiet now. What a shame. How about his running mates, Lakeisha Bellamy and Corazon Pineda Isaac? Yeah, that's right. Chris Johnson supported Lakeisha. She thanked him, one of the few people, a group of individuals that she thanked, prominent people, the mayor, Wilson Kimball, her boss over at Macy, the new developer. And she thanked Chris Johnson. And now Chris Johnson is left all alone, fed to the wolves. That's politics here in Yonkers. Where's Corazon at? Corazon has not spoken out in support of Chris Johnson. Doesn't matter. You lost the primary. You got nothing to lose now. Nothing to lose now, Corazon. Absolutely nothing. So at least come out and support Chris Johnson. He had your back. He had your back when other people, right, decided to go against you and support Reverend Coleman, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just saying he stood by you. Stand by the man. Stand by him. They should investigate Patty Breen next. Hezzy's response: should you have proof of your assertion, please send me an email with the proof to whiteeditor@gmail.com. P.S. Insinuation and innuendos have become a new ploy. In the past, I may have permitted, but after further consideration, innuendo and insinuation is not fact nor proof. Kindly, Hezi. The Westchester DA should bring criminal charges against him, and the Yonkers Board of the Board of Ed should fire him. Now they're asking for his job. I mean, come on. That's the man's livelihood. He has a family. I mean, you know, he made a boo-boo. It's not the first. Won't be the last. He's corrupt. He's a corrupt official, and his wife is a co-conspirator who ironically works for the chief law enforcement for New York State. That's right. Chris Johnson's wife is a top aide for State Attorney General Letitia James. Him and wifey can live in a shelter with all his homeboys. Karma, Chris. And by the way, a lot of people that comment on this Tribune, you can, you know, sense the racism, you know, in their post. So it just something I noticed that racism is still alive and well here in Yonkers. They just hide it well. Somebody's in to hide it very well. Where are all the so-called black leaders and community activists calling out this piece of S? Nowhere to be found because it does not involve a white police officer. I'm not sure why this is being made about race. You know, it had nothing to do with the fact that he's black, had the fact that he made a bad decision, right? Something that all people make of all colors. When it comes to race, however, I think that, you know, I'm making the point that he supported individuals because of their color who have not done anything for the people of color. And now that he's in a jam, those individuals of color are not there for him. So my point is to folks, pay attention to that, right? It's not about color. It's about the person. It's about the individual. And we have to make the best decision for our communities. That's where we make our decisions when we vote, not on color, not on who I like, not on who speaks. No, actually, we want to make sure they speak well. We can't take more Tasha Diaz's, please. My gosh. My gosh. No more. Anyway, folks, anything else here? No, Moranti. No, nothing here. Yonkers Mayor Spano to provide 3 mobile tax office locations for residents. Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano announced in the 2024 schedule for the mobile tax office location. The Mayor's Office of Constituent Services in the city's tax department will be available at 3 locations, Tuesday, July 25th through Thursday, July 27th, to assist Yonkers residents and accept the city property tax payments. The first installments for the 2024 city property tax is due Friday, August 4th. Right, so you can go on there, check out the Will Library, July 25th, 9 a.m. to 7. Bernice Breckman Center on McLean over there, July 26th from 9 a.m. to 7. And Homefield House, July 27th, 9 a.m. to 7 again. And shout out to all the folks over there at Homefield Bowling at the Homefield House right now, hanging out, having a few beers on tap. Freddie Vasquez says hello. Hope all is well. I want to be your friends. Invite me to a bowling game. I like to bowl. I'm pretty good, actually. I once coached a bowling team, believe it or not. That's a true story. So if you folks, and you know who you are, invite me over. Let's get to know each other over a game of, bowling, right? Maybe next Yonkers Fire Commissioner. All the undocumented should tell the authorities their last name is Spano. They will get a job in no time. Ironic that he is promoting using tax dollars to promote collecting taxes. Interesting, he isn't telling us that he increased the property taxes by almost 3%. Well, I told you folks, so if you're watching Basement Politics, you would know that. I know he's a Democrat and they love more and more taxes. It's a pity there are no real elections in Yonkers, quote, so we should get rid of this joker and his whole clan. Can they hand out work applications to the undocumented at the mobile offices? Thanks, Vinny. You have my vote. When will the city put undocumented on the city payroll? Depends what you mean by undocumented. Moranti's assistant has been undocumented for some time. Now her whereabouts have been documented. So the same threats here of that, because I've seen this before. Anthony Moranti's assistant, I hear, has been getting harassed. There's like workplace retaliation. They're trying to get her fired. And they were also indicating that they have been tracking her through security cameras and surveillance cameras so they know where she's at. This is the same threats and stuff that was told to me by an individual. Oh, we see you under surveillance. So I'm hoping that that's true and that they show it. So I'm pushing them by doing certain things. So, let's see. But that should be worrisome. That should concern us residents. Who are these individuals? They do this anonymously. And I wouldn't doubt that they are tracking certain people. I wouldn't doubt it. Right. So these are comments. I like to read them because it shows, people in this city, what they say. It's unbelievable. Anyway, folks, that's my podcast for the day. Make sure you vote for Hector Santiago. If you want change in District 3, or you want to get Tasha Diaz the hell up out of politics, okay? The woman does not reflect the values of the people of the city of Yonkers. She makes the city of Yonkers look bad. She makes Black and Hispanic people look bad. Women look bad by the way she speaks, right? She does an injustice to that role that she is, the majority leader, education chair. Imagine that. Speaking in that manner. That movie studio being built on Warburn Ave is a blight on the landscape, I'm telling you. Not to mention the influx of box trucks that will bottleneck the Warburton Riverdale corridor once it opens. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't get it. So who's planning this? Who are the city planners? This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. You have to know who are the people on the planning board. Why are they on there? Many of them have zero experience. Zero. They don't know what they're doing. They are just simply there to vote yes. This is unbelievable. I've said this. I mean, and also the school, on McLean. It's actually 73 Lawrence Street is the address of that new school that's being built. What about, all the vehicles and stuff, right, that are going to be coming in and out of there? The traffic, it's on a narrow street. Lawrence is pretty narrow on one side, and then McLean. So you have this potential for a lot of congestion with buses and traffic and kids and all that crossing the street. And McLean is another, another corridor that people use to go out of Yonkers, to leave Yonkers, or go up to Rumsey Road, or they go all the way up to the I-87, the Deegan, right? So then you have Ashburn over there where that studio is, and then they're putting another studio on Ashburn in North Broadway. That's going to be crazy. And then I was watching a planning meeting the other day about there's a new grocery store they want to put where the old the Models used to be. It's called Lido, or something like that. It's from overseas, a grocery store. And so the planning board are like looking to deny this, I think, because they're questioning if there's going to be enough space for the trucks. I mean, that area is pretty big. It's a big lot. But this is the first time I've seen them having an issue with the development or whatever. So maybe these people are not, doing the right thing, what they're supposed to do. They want to get shit approved, right? But they approved that Chick-fil-A over there on Central Avenue. Now, I used to work for fast food when I was younger and stuff, and we used to get deliveries from tractor trailers. I mean, I worked at a TCBY once, and a whole tractor trailer would come just with ice cream. So how is a tractor trailer going to navigate that area there? Going in and going out, that's that Roxbury Street right there. It's very narrow. There's a lot of traffic already because of a school that's there. Police station is there. A fire station is there. And right across the way, you have the Crestwood Lake Apartments, where you have a lot of school buses coming in and out, as well as the people that live there. So who are the individuals on the planning board and zoning board that are allowing all of this to take place? Again, that's the people you have to get to know if you are someone that is against a lot of this development. Are you having an issue with a particular development? The people on the planning and zoning board. And again, the city council members vote to approve these changes that the zoning board brings to them on behalf of developers who come before them with their attorneys. The same attorneys, these attorneys, certain attorneys, are making a lot of money coming before the zoning and planning board on behalf of their developer clients. It's the same few attorneys making a lot of money. And if you hire these attorneys, you're more than likely going to get everything approved. You see the game? This is why it's important to know. I know. Check out my past podcasts on it, to get a little bit familiarized with it. I invited Hector to a friendly discourse about the incident. I'm sure we'll have some different perspective, but I'm also sure that we'll agree on more than what you expect. Yeah, listen, I get it. I'm not saying that Hector is totally innocent. He should have never, raised his arm to push off the police officer, Detective Russ, right? I want to put most, if not all of the blame on the city council. That's just me. I want to blame Tasha Diaz specifically and the city council president because they brought their personal beefs to an important city council meeting, something that most of the people were concerned with. I mean, people came out to meetings at the libraries because of this. They packed the city council chambers because of this. And they utilized this time to distract us with their personal nonsense. And if you ask me, it was done on purpose. It was done on purpose. They want us distracted. They did the same thing with the housing ordinance vote when they flip-flopped on us and let everybody down. Tasha Diaz, again. And what she do? Again, she created a scene, yelling this time at Shanae Williams. So this is what they do. So I believe that they are the ones that should take the blame. They created that whole environment for that whole powder keg to explode. They need to take responsibility. Don't forget Jose Diaz. He'll fight for the community. Jose Diaz, who's running against Jose Alvarado. That is for District 17, county side, Board of Legislators. Jose Diaz versus Jose Alvarado. It's the battle of the Jose's. No way, Jose. Who will you vote for? I'm supporting Jose Diaz. I believe the guy is genuine. He wants to do right by the community. We need people who care, who are going to be in the community, who genuinely, sincerely want to see things change for the better. Enough is enough. And we have to come out and vote. When we see people like Jose out there running, we must come out because that's who we should be voting for. And then we can make the change we want, right? And they're planning to build 18 to 20 more across the city in Sandy. That's right. They're going to build a total of 20 to 22 movie studios here in the city of Yonkers, mostly, if not all, on the west side. A lot of them will go on the old Leak and Watts property that was purchased by my main man, Joe Cotter. Joe Cotter. Remember me, Joe? We spoke on Ashburn. Joe Cotter is a guy that owns the land where the movie studios are being built on. So it's like a partnership between Lionsgate, Joe Cotter, and Great Point Studios, right? So Joe Cotter owns the land. They lease the land. Great Point Studios builds the studio and leases it to Lionsgate. So that's how that works. So don't necessarily blame Lionsgate. Joe Cotter's the main guy, but he told me to blame the luxury developers. That's what he said. He said, it's not me, Freddie. It's the luxury development people that you should go after. Folks in the East Yonkers are in for a rude awakening when those hipsters from Lionsgate show up on their blocks for weeks on looking to film and looking to buy their properties, increasing, the property values, making it more difficult for people in the city here to purchase a home, pushing people out, pricing them out, right? And just creating an environment that people who are already there are not going to want to live in and eventually will sell their property because they don't want to be in it no more, right? They're like, it's done. It's over. They came and they took over. They came, they saw, and they conquered. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Why does anybody care about my personal life? I don't know why the
Freddie Vasquez here in Jersey. That anyone would care about me. Why would they care where I live, whether I'm moving or not, whether my wife is going to divorce me or not? Why does anyone care? Because someone just asked the Yonkers voice why. Anyway, have a blessed day.
Let's get popping.
Freddie wins.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered, the place where truth lives and corruption dies. Make sure you share the page, share the podcast. Check us out on Instagram where you can find clips from podcasts and other videos that I've edited and created to make really cool clips for you guys just to view and inform you. And you can also find things on national and global politics on the IG page, Politics with Fred on Instagram. So follow, and also make sure you check me out on YouTube. Subscribe to the page, and we can share as much of this information as possible to everyone, to as many people as possible. I appreciate it, folks. Have a beautiful and blessed week. I'll see you Thursday.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins.
Thank you for watching.
Fatality.
No!